This is a video I've always wanted to do at some point, discussing a matchup between two powerful characters from the Bionicle storyline and who would be the victor in a battle. For this matchup I've chosen Brutaka and Icarax. Although Brutaka is a personal favourite Bionicle character of mine, I'm not going to let bias get in the way of a fair conclusion. Icarax, however, is also my favourite of the Makuta, and I've chosen these two characters for a number of reasons. Obviously they are two very powerful beings. They have never fought each other in the canon storyline, however both characters have battled Teridax. Incidentally, and what I find most interesting is that while both these characters lost against Teridax, obviously, they proved to be worthy opponents, the duel between Brutaka and Teridax being ferocious and brutal, while the battle between Icarax and Teridax actually lasted for days. So I was wondering what happens when we pitch these two Titan warriors, both of whom have given even Teridax run for his money in the past, against each other. Note I'll be talking about these two characters when they are in their physical prime, so for Brutaka I take that to be before he was lost in the pit and defeated by Teridax, and for Icarax before he was defeated and severely damaged by the Toa Nuva. The physical capabilities of Brutaka are legendary. His strength is known to be virtually on par with Axonn, and has proved this in the 2006 story arc when he struck down all 6 Toa Nuva with a single swipe of his blade. Brutaka is immune to the effects of antidermis, and is proven when the Piraka attempted to use the substance on him through his atmosphere. This made Brutaka even stronger and more powerful. He's also partial resistant to the mutagen in the water surrounding the pit. Brutaka also had incredible stamina and endurance, which was required for him in order to effectively wield his rotating blade. As a member of the Order of Matanui, Brutaka's mind was shielded from mental attacks and telepathy through grueling training, while also being able to free himself from stasis fields. Being taller than Axonn, Brutaka had an advantage in that he had greater reach. In this instance, when he's fighting Icarax, Brutaka is of about equal stature, which would mean he wouldn't have much trouble blocking the Makuta's attacks. Icarax was a fearsome and brutal Makuta who was a master of hand-to-hand and melee combat. While it isn't likely that Icarax possessed the same brute physical strength of Brutaka, he was by far the most proficient with a blade in the entire ranks of the Brotherhood. Because of this, not even the other Makuta would dare challenge him, whereas Icarax himself would not hesitate to take on potentially more powerful opponents. Through what is quite possibly arrogance and incredible ruthlessness, Icarax stopped at nothing to get what he wanted, challenging Teridax himself in order to try to usurp his position as leader of the Brotherhood. This would logically suggest that Icarax didn't have much concept of fear, but also, as his bio states, that he preferred to avoid complex schemes and plans. Thus, Icarax wasn't much in the way of subtle, nor was he a tactician, instead preferring to use his unstoppable rage and skill with a blade to vanquish his foes. As a Makuta, Icarax had access to all 42 of Makuta's powers, and wore the Kanoi Kraken, giving him power over the element of shadow. Included in the 42 Makuta's powers were mental attacks, which Brutaka will be able to resist. Therefore, Icarax will be limited in what powers to use against Brutaka so that they would be effective. Given Brutaka's wide range of resistances to mental attacks, mutagen and antidermis, I'm inclined to say that in terms of physical capability and resistance, Brutaka takes this one. Brutaka used a double-bladed sword, otherwise known as a rotating blade. It was given to him by Axonn and has proven to be immensely powerful. It was charged with an electric pulse and had an electric rock cutter on one side. It was undoubtedly an extremely powerful weapon and has been used in the past to cut down all 6 Toa Nuva and give Axonn himself some serious grief. Brutaka's skill with the blade was also enhanced by his endurance and stamina, which also aided him when fighting for long durations, especially against powerful opponents such as Teridax. Icarax carried a similar weapon in that it was a double-bladed sword, and he honed his skills with it so that Makuta could wield his weapon to devastating effect. While it had no electrical charge or anything of the sort like Brutaka's weapon, Icarax's skill with the blade on its own was unrivaled within the ranks of the Brotherhood. Considering Icarax's track record with one-on-one fights, he lasted far longer with Teridax than Brutaka did, so he managed to keep Teridax battling him for several days. Because of this, I have to give the point for skill with weaponry to Icarax, albeit very marginally. Brutaka wore the Kanoi Hallmark, one of only 2 ever created by Artaka. It granted the wearer the power to open portals or dimensional gates to other locations or planes in the Matoran universe. This could be used to transport the wearer and the selected target into another dimension, which has proved to be extremely dangerous, and when misused, the Olmec is capable of wreaking havoc upon others, causing irreparable damage to the universe. Any portal summoned by the mask's wearer could remain open for any amount of time until something passed through it, staying active even when the user is unconscious. In his physical prime, Icarax swore the Kraken. It granted the wearer complete control and mastery over the shadows, and to drive fear and anger into those affected by its power. It could also reveal to the wearer the evil within others. Additionally, the Kraken could strike non-Makuta with blasts of shadow. However, if the wearer uses its power of shape-shifting, the Kanoi changes with them. Aside from what I already discussed earlier in the video, Icarax had mastery over the powers of chain lightning, darkness, hunger and teleportation, to name a few. Icarax would likely rely on these powers to try to defeat Brutaka, as his mental abilities would prove useless against the opponent's years of training with the Order of Matanui. The teleportation power may be enough to combat Brutaka's use of dimensional gates, and adding in all of Icarax's other powers, I find it hard to see how Brutaka will be able to withstand the Makuta's onslaught. The only thing I can think of is that Icarax would simply run out of energy if he were to use his powers all the time, and may get exhausted, being the point where Brutaka's incredible endurance comes in. Given all that, I have to say that on balance, the Kanoi powers and effects is a tie. In conclusion, there is no doubt in my mind that this will be an utterly incredible fight. It will be very destructive, and whoever the victor is, they will be very badly shaken and exhausted. Brutaka has a more natural resistance to many attacks given his species and training with the Order of Matanui, something that Icarax as a Makuta doesn't have. As a result, Icarax would likely have to rely on his other minor powers as a Makuta to make up for the fact that he can't use his mental abilities such as illusion, mind reading and confusion. However, his teleportation ability may frustrate Brutaka's usage of his Olmec. With regard to their skill with the sword, it's again very evenly matched. Brutaka's rotating blades are charged with a much more powerful energy than Icarax's weapon, and has the stamina to use it for sustained amounts of time. Icarax's double-bladed sword isn't charged with any electrical pulse, but does wield near perfect mastery over his weapon, and it's proved that it can last for days even against the most powerful Makuta in existence. And finally, the fact that in terms of powers and abilities they are pretty much equal, and that neither opponent will be able to make any ground by using their mass powers, this would likely result in a stalemate. It is without doubt then that the two combatants would settle the fight with their skills as a swordsman. Given Icarax's lore and track record, I have to say that Icarax would take Brutaka down when it comes to sword fighting skill. The verdict is settled then by a very slight margin, and with considerable damage dealt to both opponents, I have to say the Makuta Icarax would eventually take the prize and have Brutaka defeated by his blade. Please remember this is only my personal analysis and opinion using the information from the Bionicle lore, and if anyone would like to respectfully disagree then you can explain why down below. Anyway guys, thank you for watching, and if you have any other suggestions for a Bionicle versus video then please leave a comment down below, as I may be able to do more of these sorts of videos while at university and during the holidays. This has been the Bionicle fan, please give a like, subscribe, whatever, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.